Number one question that you have for me tonight is very easy and simple. It's not about Ole Miss. It's not about LSU. It's not about what I thought about the game. It is, Blake, are you watching the Yankees in the studio in the ALCS? And the answer to that question is 100, positively, no question, no doubter. Yes, I saw Carlos Rendon with a runner on second and get a massive K. I just saw Gleyber Torres hit a line drive single right back up the middle. I love postseason baseball. I think October is the best month of sports without any question whatsoever. You got big baseball on. Mets, if I'm not mistaken, won today. Now we have the Yankees. Could it be a Subway Series? Who knows? But you know your boy's here for it. That's for damn sure. But no. We are not talking about here tonight about the Yankees. If I wanted to do that, we'd just form another podcast to talk about the Yankees. We're not. We 1,000% are not. We are here to talk about and recap the game LSU had versus the Ole Miss Rebels in the victory. Going back, now that you know the outcome and you don't have an overtime thriller and you come out here on a post game and you have to instantly react to it. What have we seen? What do we feel? What do we know about this team after that win and going into Arkansas? Speaking of Arkansas, we will be previewing them here tonight. Thoughts, questions, concerns. We'll get to all of those inside of that throughout the week. But tonight we'll preview a little bit of Arkansas. Yeah, we are a little bit early, about 10 minutes early. Thought it was desperately needed after a really good win. We did Rafino and Joe show earlier in the morning, so was able to come out here a little bit or live a little bit sooner. But we just have so much that we need to discuss and to talk about. So we'll get to that. We'll get to Arkansas preview. And by the way, it's Monday, so you know what that means. Carter Bryant joins us at 7:35, and we'll talk to him about what he saw, his film breakdown, and, you know, as we've been doing here the last couple of weeks, really debating on where this team is. Shout out to all of those this week, Garrett Nussmeier, Braden Swinson, Whit Weeks, who are all recognized as SEC Players of the Week for their either offense, defense, or D-line, or as for Whit Weeks, the Defensive Overall Player of the Week in the SEC. Congratulations to those guys. It's a hell of a win. It's a hell of a time to be able to put that on. We are going to talk about Garrett. We are going to talk about the game. We are going to talk about the misses. We're going to talk about the really clutch throws. We're going to talk about how I still see some of you on Twitter talking about what you thought about the defense, blaming some issues the other night on defense, how incredulous some of you have been, and still blaming parts of the defense. Guys, they allowed 6 points in the second half. Just going to throw this out there. Here's one handy-dandy note for you as we get started here tonight. The last three games, LSU's defense has given up 17 points. That's best for 24th in the country. A year ago this time, just throwing this out there for everybody, this time a year ago, you were in the 100s. So you've jumped 75 spots in scoring defense if you equated the last 3 weeks. But nevertheless, we will talk about all that. We'll break down offense, defense, and special teams. Let's get to a couple comments before we do get rolling here. Wade Burns says, will we beat the Hogs? Will Wade on the mind. I think that it's going to be a very close game. I don't like the spot that you're in. I don't. Coming off the emotional win that you had and the game that you had and the situation that you had in this game historically being close, no, I don't like it. I don't like it at all. You're going to find out so much about your team on Saturday at night. And, guys, I am telling you, a very, very hostile environment. I was talking to our good buddy Ty Richardson on Friday, and then we're talking to him again today, Ty Richardson, who covers the Hogs for ESPN is going to be joining us tomorrow at 7:30. Was talking to him today, man. You know how you erupted this week and how this place erupted this week or last week, excuse me, for Ole Miss? You remember that? Guys, they're ready to do it too. You are their big game. Can they get back? It's going to be the question. They have a good football team. Does Taylon Green go? I know it seems as of right now there's a lot of chatter that he's going to go, but if that's the case, then I guess his MCL sprain that he sustained, or at least what was reported as the MCL sprain, might not be that bad. I'd still have some form of game plan if two quarterbacks do play, because I am not going to risk not knowing what Singleton could do to you. LSU basement boy _69 says he's in University Villas neighborhood, the 225 Burbank. 2024 Magnolia Bowl winners, statement win. Let's keep the momentum going. I agree. Spectrum Wellcare says, oh, yeah, so very quickly, where is everybody listening to from tonight? 337-225-318-504. We the 504 boys. Where are you listening to from tonight? Spectrum Wellcare says, Ole Miss D-line linebackers are full of All-Americans. Kudos to our offensive line. Got to get better in the run game. But, I mean, what they did for Garrett and what they did in pass pro was pretty elite. What they've been doing is pretty elite. So, yeah. Matthew Conkle with a $5 super chat says, Aaron Anderson has become the player I think we all hope for. Feed that man. Yeah, man, I mean, look, he had a great game. Obviously catching the game-tying touchdown at the end of the game. I mean, he had some catches that I know that he wishes that he had back. We forget, he had a crucial drop in the beginning of the game. Very crucial drop that would have kept the drive going. So I say that to say, too, that he came on as the game went on. You knocked some of the rust off. He has been a big contributor to your success, and he's going to continue to be a contributor to your success. So Aaron Anderson, yeah, absolutely. I agree. He's definitely who I thought he would be. Last year I was on the Aaron Anderson hype train. And I think what's even funnier is people don't consider him because he's 5'7" to be a number one guy. People forget, man, this is going to be Aaron Anderson's 7th start. We forget because he came out 3 years ago. Guys, he's a redshirted sophomore. So there's a chance here that you could have him for the rest of this year, next year, and the year after that. I mean, there's a potential. I think he goes out before that. I'm just saying there is that potential. So he is continuing to develop. I had a pro scout tell me today about him that it's not the same player, but it's the same arc that he felt like with Malik in some aspects. Now, obviously, Malik had a lot more big plays and big moments, but this season's not over with yet. I don't know how bigger moments you get than the touchdown that Aaron caught for a game-tying decision on 4th and 5. I mean, that's pretty big. Not the same player, but the same arc. Can Aaron continue to be that guy and be that dude? We'll have to wait and see on that. But I agree to a lot of extents to Matthew's point. I am Alex 129. A $2 super chat says Gio Paez has been playing great. Shout out. Alex, to your point here, it's very interesting because, look, I will admit this. I was as worried as a school kid sitting at church in the pew next to a woman with big titties. I literally was worried about this D-line. Guys, they didn't look good in the running game during camp. Now, that doesn't mean anything. You have games now. Don McKinley. Guys, Don McKinley had one of the biggest plays of the game, being aware and recovering that fumble. It's a big thing. Ahmad Bro. Jacoby and Guillory's out. Gio Paez, Ahmad Bro, Javier Suggs, Don McKinley, Parrish Shand. I mean, guys, to be honest with you, you've been pretty good at moments. You're not a great defense. You're not an elite defense. But guys, I don't think that anybody. Here's been my take for a month. If you watch this show religiously, I asked you in the postgame show this same question. Put your hand up if you watch this show on a religious basis throughout the week. Now, when you do that, that would mean that you know that probably over the last month, go back and view any of them, any of the shows. The conversations that you and I have been about basically me leaning that offense has got to get better in situations that I thought the defense was coming along slowly but surely. And that's pretty much the conversation. It's a conversation that we're going to have with Carter in just a moment. It's that same conversation. So all I would say here is this, is that there comes a part where I humbly and truthfully believe in the situation that LSU is going to continue to get better defensively. I think that they're going to continue to get better. And you just got to let Blake Baker cook. Now, Ole Miss offensively has had a lot of struggles. So has Arkansas's. Played a clean game, a moderately really clean game against Tennessee. Guys, you can have some real good success on Arkansas. Part of me feels that most of us are not ready on how hard fought of a game that's going to be. You know, I think a lot of people, at least from what I've seen so far on social media, some people believe that this is going to be a blowout. I cannot get behind that. Cannot get behind that. Ponchatoula, Louisiana is in the building. Carlton's in the 337. Erath also in the building. 337 says Randy Palmer. Is Durham 100%? Ask Wade Burns, not even remotely close. Chris Lomax, 901 Covington, Tennessee in the house. Good to have you in here. Andrea LeBlanc says that she's in Ponchatoula. Good to have you in here with us as well. Pressure, big pressure. Lamar Williams says the 225. So I greatly appreciate all you guys joining. Tell us where you're at and do us another favor. All I ask is that you tell us where you're listening to us from the show. And then secondly, I ask for you to do me one humble favor. I ask you to hit that like button if you're on Facebook and share to all those groups that I know that most of you are in on Facebook. Share to all of your social media pages. You're watching us, listening to us on YouTube. I ask you a humble favor. Like, subscribe, notification bell, wherever you listen to podcasts. Do us one simple favor by rating, reviewing, and subscribing. We greatly appreciate it when y'all do that. All right, let's get rolling. Everybody do us a favor. Hit that like and share. Let's get to our good friends over at betonline.ag. Need to mention our good friends, though, over at Cherry Bundy. Guys, 67 of 68 collegiate football teams and programs use Cherry Bundy. Listen, I told you, you've noticed. Lost a little bit of weight. Been going to the gym lifting. One thing that's vastly helped in my recovery has been Cherry Bundy. I would not come out here and tell you otherwise. You got to use it. For all of you that go to the gym, maybe you need some help in sleep. Maybe you need some help in just overall body recovery. The tart cherries with the antioxidants are going to revive you in that. CherryBundy.com, wherever you go to retail stores, or CherryBundy.com, Amazon.com. Just the best, man. Absolutely the best. Let me get to a quick break. We come back. We talk about LSU, Ole Miss. We preview Arkansas next. Stay with us. BetOnline is the fastest and easiest way for you to wager on all of your favorite sports, contests, events with the first-to-market odds and lines. Find reviews for all the news for each league, including Major League Baseball, NFL, NBA, NHL, combat sports, college sports, esports, and even golf. BetOnline continues to be the top online resource for all of your sports information for live in-game betting, props, and futures. Head on over to BetOnline today and use your mobile device to join and make your first sports bet. Use our promo code BELIEVE50, that's BELIEVE50, BLEAV 50, to receive your 50% off welcome bonus on your first deposit. That's betonline.ag, betonline.ag.
He will sell your house and find you a new. Well, Tyler's the man, he's here for you. You want to buy or sell? Well, it's not too late. Dial 955-0008. Just call 955-0008. Y'all call Tyler, he'll shoot you straight.
Louisiana is unique. The food, the festivals, even the bugs. No, not mud bugs. Unwanted bugs like these. The ones you don't want crawling in your home or business. Trust the Shield from J&J Exterminating. We've been protecting Louisiana homes for over 50 years, earning the trust of our clients because we deliver what we promise. Protect your home from pests. Get the Shield from J&J Exterminating.
J&J Exterminating. Yeah.
J&J has protected Louisiana homes and businesses for over 60 years.
Call him today, make the pests go away. J&J Exterminating. Yeah.
All right. Let's get rolling. Everybody do us a favor, hit the like and share. Yes, I did notice that Carlos Rondon got a fly out. Looks like he just got out of that inning. All right, last time I mentioned the Yankees. I'm just saying. Let's go to this. LSU versus Ole Miss was an outright thriller. I mean, look, man, I've talked about it twice today or 3 times already in the last 2 days. Post-game, Rafino and Joe Show, our SEC channel, and now here. And what I would tell you is for me, I got to break this game clearly up into 2 points. And I think that's simple because me and you can look at the offense and what we saw in the recap of this game and defense. Let's start off with the first. Let's start off with defense. Guys, I think every single week you've continuously gotten better since South Carolina. Now, I even thought that you did some really good things against South Carolina that prevented you to get back into that football game. You gave up a lot. You gave up some bad runs. You were out of alignment. You weren't assignment correct. And quite honestly, South Carolina beat you on a lot of just mental mistakes that you had. If you look at this team, man, I think that they do have playmakers defensively. I think that we've noticed through the first couple of weeks that this defensive line is really playing with some momentum. Bo Davis and Kevin Peoples has legitimately gotten this defensive line to play what I'll be honest with you, what I thought was above their skis. You know, guys, Braden Swinson, we talked about this during the offseason. Braden Swinson was the guy that I pointed out that I thought was going to have a year, and that could he be the year, could have been Deshaun Womack that has the year. That Kevin Peoples has his continued streak of somebody at every tenure that he's been in, wherever he's gone, to have 10 sacks. Guys, Braden Swinson, who I think has been one of the biggest game changers for you, without a doubt and without question, one of the biggest game changers for you as a team with the 7 sacks that he has through 6 ball games. Because he's averaging a little bit more than a sack a game. That is incredible. That is absolutely incredible considering where you were a year ago. And I think he's a special talent. Now, know what you're probably thinking in the back of your mind. The biggest and arguably the best fireable part of the offense of Matt House was that he played anybody above Braden Swinson last year. I digress. Could you have imagined what would have happened if Braden Swinson would have been able to sack Jackson Dart last year with Jaden Daniels if he got a stop? Could you have imagined? A stop would have been really nice. But your defensive front, at least from a pass rush system and a pass rush all around, and your front 7 that's included in that, and I'm going to throw in there Major Burns. You went up against Lane Kiffin and got 6 sacks. They talked about it on the telecast. Since Lane's been in the SEC, whether Bama or at Ole Miss, nobody has sacked a Lane Kiffin offense more than LSU did on Saturday night with 6. Braden Swinson having 2 was a massive part of that led to multiple punts. But he's not the only one. And the reason I throw Major Burns into that front seven is, guys, I don't think people fully understand, like at all, fully understand what even Brian Kelly was mentioning today in his press conference. I don't think people understand what having Major Burns in that star role, which they never should have moved him from. And I know that they were trying to get Harold Perkins on the field, but this defense, as we talked about last week, the star defense that they like to call it, that they run with Major Burns in that slot or star role, has taken over. Guys, it's not even a guessing game anymore. It's not remotely a thought. It's not remotely a question. The questions that you and I had about who should be at safety, and me running out here every single night saying, guys, Jordan Gilbert, even though you might not think he's a great player, even though he made a very crucial tackle on third down that led to a field goal by Ole Miss in the waning seconds of the game, I think that this star formation or schematics or whatever Blake Baker did against USC, now we have it against two teams where they've made multiple stops and gotten crucial fumbles and turnovers and sacks. Guys, they started off the game, meaning LSU defensively, with 5 straight stops. Let me equate that to something. A year ago, this past year, you didn't have but 5 stops, true stops, in an entire month against the SEC a year ago. You got 3 against Missouri. You got 1 against Ole Miss. Then you were going to wind up playing, who was it? Was it Florida? Where you almost, or Arkansas? Guys, Arkansas, you didn't stop them at all. You got a couple of pair of field goals, but they moved the ball on you all day. You didn't get 1 stop. Major Burns is a big part of that. Major Burns being in that star role, getting those 2 sacks is incredible. I know that they label him as having 1.5 because someone came in late. No, man. In the AYS reporting, we're going to talk about him having 2 sacks. I think that what you've done up front in the passing game has been borderline great. Actually, I'm not even going to say that. I think it is. I am going to say borderline great. Now, you've given up explosive plays, and it's been your biggest weakness. That's why it's not being and playing like an elite unit, because you give up those plays. Guys, you've given up more explosive plays in the running game because of missed assignments more than anything. And to be real with you, because you lack the depth in certain positions, especially in the interior, you're asking guys who have no business being out there and that won't be out there when Bo Davis gets this thing moving in recruiting. You don't have a good enough depth rotation. You have guys that can give you maybe 25 to 30 snaps, maybe a piece. You might have 2 to 3 that can do that. But, man, I see the massive amounts of progress. I do. I see the playmaking. I see the momentum shifting. I see Blake Baker, for what it's worth, getting the buy-in from his players. You know, it's interesting. I don't like going out here. You know, I used to do this when we first started the podcast. I don't really do it anymore. We'll break news. We'll tell you what we know, but I'm not going to be the break news guy anymore. But I will lean on my record on things that I say on this show that have pretty much come to pretty much fruition throughout. Guys, I talked to you last Tuesday about this team, or last Thursday, and it was the biggest thing that I asked. I said, hey, share this with one of your buddies. I remember bringing up comments on the show on Thursday saying, hey, man, I'm about to tell you something. Bring in some of your buddies. I'm about to tell you something I heard about the bye week. It was the buy-in. And you got that defensively. Blake, they gave up 26 points. Yeah, they gave up 6 points in the second half, and outside of a bad quarter, which that is going to happen against Lane Kiffin, you're averaging 17 points given up in the last 3 games. And it's not like that you're giving up much more. And it would have been better if you actually could stop a pulse against Nichols and actually gave a shit in the beginning of the season. Guys, you'd be in the top 25 in scoring defense and over the total year. The game they played was fantastic. You know, I agree with Brian Kelly in his press conference today when he said he was asked about a year ago. Why he keeps getting asked about that, I don't know. But Brian Kelly was asked very plainly and simply, what's the difference? He says tackling. Yeah, he ain't lying. He ain't lying. I look at a defense that I think is going to continuously get better. Guys, the emergence of some of the dudes in the DB room at corner, I thought Ashton Stamps on Trey Harris. Guys, Trey Harris might be the best wide receiver in the SEC this year. If you go back to the very first quarter, they throw a hitch route to Trey Harris, and Ashton Stamps comes up and pops him right in the mouth and gets a really good tackle on Trey Amos. Actually, the SEC's leading wide receiver. The buy-in is there. Can you continue that? I will say one other thing because we talked about depth. I worry about this team come November. I very much worry about this team. The worry comes on, and it's not that you have a tough schedule because you have a pretty manageable November. But I look at, do you have the depth in certain situations and certain places that if you do get some guys beat up here and there, that the wear and tear doesn't really get to them, really? It's a question that we're going to have to find out and ask. But as far as a defensive staff is concerned, the early signs for me, the way that I see it, is that you might have nailed it. And it's something that you and I have discussed at pretty great length. Let's move to the offensive side of the football. Number one, before I even remotely get close to Garrett Nussmeier, the running game. You're not playing as a collective unit. Now, you can make the argument that the interior defensive line against Ole Miss is really good. It is. Very good. J.J. Pegues, Walter Nolan, Chris Pupal. Guys, it might be the best unit that you see outside of A&M down the stretch here. It very well may be. Couldn't run the football. I mean, Brian Kelly, you know, it's interesting. Brian Kelly was asked today about his run game, the 24 runs for 84 yards, saying we had 9 really good, 10 really bad, and the others were washes, meaning that we got about 4 yards in the running game. Yeah, I mean, I do think that some tight ends are missing some stuff. I do think that your offensive line is missing some stuff. I do think that your guard play, especially at right guard, has got to get better. But you do seem to continuously have a missing link. What that is not on one person because it's all over the place. BK said something today that I vehemently agree with. It's that if you start and what's crazy is you've had 4 of these guys that have played with one another. You would think they'd have a little bit more cohesion. I just don't think that they're calling the run game at an effective rate. I think Josh Williams in games like this running the football might be the guy that you got to lean on early. And look, man, I thought Josh had a really good game considering. Guys, Josh made a lot of really big plays. I think he might be one of my more favorite Tiger players of all time. And I mean that. I love his heart. You know, the pass that he caught in the flat, I even would put as an extension of the running game because it's really what you were doing. You had 2 out safeties. You're looking them off. You're trying to get the ball to Josh Williams anyway because you could tell by Garrett's body language that he had no intention of throwing the football deep. None. Not on that one. It was to get Josh Williams the football. And when he did, Williams made a guy miss. Chris Poop Hall, who's one of the best linebackers in the game, makes a miss, and he gets 18 yards. So you did have some extensions of the running game, which I don't mind. You do have Joe Sloan, who comes from an air raid type of system. I don't think that the way that they're trying to run the football has been beneficial for this O-line. They got to do some different things. And here's another thing. To take some stress off of things in the running game on critical downs when you have running lanes, Garrett's got to get moving. He's got to get moving. Guys, you can be a pocket passer all you want to. That's not today's game. Every single quarterback is going to get on the move and run. Outside of guys like Aaron Rodgers, who, by the way, will go out and run. Now, he's going to throw it. He's not going to run. He's 40-something years old. But as I remind you of what happened on Sunday Night Football last night with Joe Burrow, you just got to go and get yards. You got to go get them. The running game as a whole, though, I don't think is as bad as we think. I think it's a little bit and has been a little bit below average at times. Caden Durham is not 100% healthy, and they don't trust Caleb Jackson to get the ball moving. You know, we look at Caleb Jackson on a bad read by Garrett Nussmeier on a zone shuffle pass read, and he gets tackled for a loss. They didn't put him in the game after that. Okay, well, you're going to need him. You're going to have to find a role for him. Is that hole to find one? Is the role for Caleb Jackson to just get the ball, find one hole, and tell him to run as hard as he humanly possibly can to get 4 or 5 yards and see what happens? I don't know. I don't know. But I do think that the running backs have missed some things. I think you're missing John Emery. I think that you're missing the lack of depth of not going and getting somebody from the portal. Because, guys, you have a freshman, you have a sophomore that's struggling, and you have a senior that's not as athletic of a guy that you want at running back. So it's been a collective issue that's been a main problem. Let me get to the passing game. I have a feeling that this is going to be very non-controversial. Guys, 43% passing is what Garrett Nussmeier had. By the way, that was sarcasm. 43% completion percentage from Garrett is really bad. And you and I know that both that it's really bad. It's not good. I don't want to hear that you're putting too much on him. You are. I'll give him that. You are putting a lot on his plate. Especially putting a lot on his plate because you can't get a running game going. It's fair. However, it's not the argument that I'm trying to make when I come out here and say, guys, you could have and should have, and based off of the way that you played at quarterback, probably should have lost that football game. You probably should have lost it. Now, what you will hear is, and I know that I'm all the pretty angry messages that I'm going to get my way after saying something like that or get clipped or whatever. Guys, it's just not good enough. And I look at some of the throws that Nuss had. Guys, they're elite. Some of them, the Aaron Anderson throw in anticipation for the game-tying touchdown is 1,000% elite. You can't argue that. I'm not going to argue that. Nobody and their mama can argue that. But I see someone like Jim Nagy from the Senior Bowl and him saying stuff like, oh, man, Garrett Nussmeier was the best offensive player in the country last week. No, he was not. What are you talking about? Like, that blows my mind that anybody worth their weight in salt would say that. Now, again, did he make very elite throws? Abso-freaking-lutely. Did he have adversity and challenges in the game? Absolutely. The decision-making has got to become better. You will lose a football game, either one that you're supposed to or two that you really aren't supposed to, and some of you would believe that that's Arkansas this weekend. Like, I feel like a lot of you would think, like, hey, man, I get it. Like, Arkansas is a tough opponent, and they're a rival. We don't have any business losing to Arkansas. And you would probably be right. But in the two SEC games that Garrett Nussmeier has played, he is 50.5% completion percentage and 91 attempts. Now, the attempts are a lot. The attempts are a hell of a lot. He's thrown, I mean, guys, that's over. Just over like 45.5% or 45.5 passing attempts per game. It's a lot. I'll give you that. But the bad decisions that he made in missing some guys, McElroy pointed it out multiple times. Like, hey, man, if they're going to play too high, you got to step up in the pocket and run. Like, you got to get moving. The reason, like, they want you to throw the football. That's why you had so many incompletions that you had. Now, I don't know if Garrett is not wanting to, or it's just his thought, like, hey, man, try to get the ball downfield. Try to get the ball downfield. I don't know. But what I do know is that if you don't start taking off, teams are going to continue to play too high safety on you and try to risk that you'll make a bad choice to keep them in the football game. They know they're going to give up points to you. Guys, Pete Golding knew that he was going to get points on you. I thought he would blitz Garrett a lot more. He didn't, because he thought he could get home with 4, and they basically played coverage on you all night long, kept 6 guys in the box and said, yeah, we'll give you those itsy-bitsy runs. We got a really good defensive line. But we're going to play too high, and we're going to make you check it down, or we're going to make you run the football. We don't think that you will. Now, the one on the 3rd and 13 Garrett did, guys, that's what I'm talking about, that you got to do at least 3 times a game. Greg McElroy in the telecast said that Joe Sloan told him personally that he told Garrett that there are going to be about 4 times in the game where they're going to play too high and they're going to bail out on you. And what you're going to have to do is that you're going to have to step up in the pocket and get 7, 8, 9 yards and get down and protect yourself. That is from Joe Sloan, your OC, talking to whatever you guys believe about Greg McElroy. Dude can really call games. He's really freaking good at his job. When y'all look at Greg and he's like, hey, man, I had a conversation with Sloan this week, and he's just saying that, like, I told Garrett vehemently, like, you got to run the football. But it doesn't excuse the bad decision-making. It doesn't. Guys, your defense started the game off getting you 5 straight stops, and you come out with a 3-and-out, and a turnover. And a turnover where I don't know if Garrett wanted to get hit, and he threw the ball up for grabs trying to get it out of there. And it got picked. Ole Miss defender timed it better than Caden Durham, who's 5'7", 5'8" at max. Tipped it to a D lineman, and it got picked. Then you had Braden Swinson on a 4th and inches, bailed through the line, or 4th and 2, whatever it was, really get inside of a tight end and make a stop on 4th down. Guys, 5 straight stops comes with a turnover on downs. Garrett needs more help. He needs help. I don't think that he has a bona fide first-round wide receiver like some of the great quarterbacks have had here. Because, I mean, Kyron Lacey has shown that when he's right and focused, Duke can play. Duke can play. I don't know what else to say about that anymore. Duke can play, and you know it. The crucial catches that he had against South Carolina, the ones that he had literally against Ole Miss, and one that ended the game. But they are giving Nuss checkdowns, and he's going to have to learn to live with, I just need to get the ball to Josh Williams or Caden Durham and make a miss. Guys, he literally did that in the fourth quarter, and Josh Williams broke a tackle and went for 16. That's when they started having success. When not everybody had, like, when the entire back seven, linebackers included with the DBs, when that back seven wanted to go out in coverage, when you dumped it off, was one of your biggest passing plays of the night. By the way, it broke you of your streak of being 4 of 15 in the third quarter. You're going to lose a football game if you don't make better decisions. And I hate to label that and say it any other way than that, because what people are going to hear is, oh, Blake's coming down on us. But you're going into Arkansas this week, and there is a team in Arkansas that wants to take it to you. Guys, their front seven's still really good. I don't know if you're going to be able to run the football on them. Their safety play has been much better than I think I or anybody anticipated. I came out here saying, man, I really think Arkansas is going to be bad this year. And they're not. So the decisions that you're making on critical third downs, not checking the ball down when you got two high safeties and they're bailing on you, not running on crucial situations, at some point it's going to cost you. Because at some point when you have multiple turnovers, it's going to cost you. I don't know when, I don't know where, I don't know how. Well, I do know how. It's the turnovers. But I don't know when or where. But at some point, it's going to happen. You know, I thought about this today. You know, a lot of people have equated this season to being 2007-ish. Right? Like, I mean, this whole college football season is 2007-ish. Okay. Matt Flynn had multiple turnovers in the two games that you lost. Now, I know that's a horrible way to equate it. Les Miles, you had a running game. Sure. Guys, when your quarterback has multiple turnovers in games, you will lose some. But if you get a turnover on downs defensively, I've been saying it, off of 9 turnovers, whether it be turning the football over or turnover on downs, you have 9 of those, and you have 9 points. You got to make better decisions. You have to. All right. We've got some super chats in here, and then Carter Bryant joins us next. RGS sends a $10 super chat. Says Ole Miss dropped in coverage to good effect. Most of the game, Nuss struggled. Expect more opponents to do this route since OM sack machine couldn't get home. And how could LSU have adjusted? Well, if they're going to back out in coverage like that, you got to find ways to run the football. And you can't just do it on one down. You can't come out and run the ball for 1 yard and get so scared to line back up and run it again. That's what I really think is going on here. Guys, when are the days that we can just run the football for a yard and not line back up and run the football? You did that some. You did it a couple of times. You didn't do it often. You did it like maybe twice that you did it. The 2 times that you did it, Josh Williams got 9 yards. So 2 carries, 9 yards. And Caden Durham got 7 yards on 2 carries. Okay, so it gets you in a third down and manageable. But it's very much more manageable than what else you were doing. You got to continue with the run game. Guys, you were stopping them, Ole Miss's running game, moderately effectively at moments and times. I know they ran for 183. That's not, you know, that 50-yard run, misassignment, it happened, and I don't like taking things out. But I will say, outside of that, I thought you played moderately well there. So while Weeks had 18 tackles. So you got to help him with the run game, but he's got to run the football. Guys, I don't care what anybody tells me about him. People will defend it all day long. I just don't care. Joseph on YouTube with a $5 super chat says, when when is Nussmeier going to develop his game and take some small run defenses, give me's? When he does, man, watch out. Yeah, I mean, he's got to. He's got to. You know, Greg McElroy in the telecast said Nussmeier changing the play at the line. Let's see if he can find the right run play. You got numbers on the left side, guys. You had one defensive tackle and one linebacker, and everybody else was shifted to the right, and Garrett didn't check out of it. He's got to know to check out of it. Sloan's not in his ear by then, or the running back's got to cut it back. I don't know. Dane with a $5 super chat says, Matt, Caleb's foot is 100%, and Jackson is too slow with extra weight. My name's Blake. No, I didn't say it was 100%. I said he was nowhere near 100%. Jackson's too slow with the extra weight. You're giving him a carry on a bad situation. You didn't see him outside of that. He says McElroy was begging us to tuck and run for yardage. He was. Begging him. $2 super chat says Tiger Boy luck, but put Caleb in the eye or pistol and get him ahead of steam. You gotta continue to try the running game. You can't bail on it as much as they did, and I'll give Nuss that. I told you that earlier. Thought that they didn't put him in crucial situations. Stephen Young with a $2 super chat says Nuss will have to run more. He's capable. Yeah, he's capable. I just don't know if he wants to get hit. I mean, who does? But I really just don't know if he wants to get hit or not. We'll find out. We did on Saturday once, finally. All right. Let's get to Carter the Power Bryant. Let me get you a quick break. He joins us next. Stay with us. Guys, I want to talk to you about our good friends over the Drake Williams Law Firm and Drake Title Company. Are you facing tough times due to an injury from a car accident, navigating the complexities of divorce, or purchasing a new home? At the Drake Williams Law Firm and Drake Title Company, they understand the challenges you're going through, and they are here to help. The lawyer team of Ernie Drake III, Ryan J. Williams, and Summer Vignair, along with Morgan Daniels, have the experience and proven track record to give you that peace of mind. Give them a call today at 985-386-7600. That's 985-386-7600 to schedule a free consultation at their brand new office located in historic downtown Ponchatoula. They're also doing a special, the AYS special. If you're refinancing or closing on a home in Southeast Louisiana, request the Drake Title Company to handle your closing. If you mention Blake Ruffino and AYS, you're going to receive a $400 discount on title fees. Again, give them a call at 985-386-7600. Let them know that Blake Ruffino sent you on by. Guys, you might know my good friend Carol Foss and all the great service that he provides over at State Farm. He is your good neighbor after all. But did you know State Farm has surprisingly great rates as well? Along with the great neighbor service, State Farm agent Carol Foss has surprisingly great rates for everyone inside the state of Louisiana. So call him today at 985-395-4300, 985-395-4300 for all of those surprisingly great rates on auto, home, and life insurance needs. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there, and individual premiums will vary by customer. All applicants subject to the State Farm underwriting requirements. Guys, let me tell you about our good friends over at Easy Free Bail Bonds, LLC, where they get your feet back on the street. There may come a time where a loved one or yourself is arrested and you don't have enough money to get bail from jail. Easy Free Bail Bonds will assist you in the process of getting bail bonds for your family. These bonds are a way to ensure that you're financially covered when a predicament like an arrest occurs. Easy Free Bail Bonds is located inside the state of Louisiana with an expert team of bondsmen that are available to assist you or your family 24/7. The team is professional and has a high-quality work ethic that will give you nothing but satisfaction. The company takes feedback from past customers in order to better their services and are always looking to accommodate and mold their services that best fit your needs. Remember this number, 985-517-3631. That's 985-517-3631. Because when you need to get back on your feet and back on the street, you know who to call. Carter, the Power Bryant. Good evening, good sir. How are you?
Man, life is great. Very happy LSU has a QB that could get us out of the mess we were in this past weekend, and excited about the LSU defense. Excited about Braden Swinson and Whitweeks playing the game that they did.
You're not going to do that, are you? You're not going to make me come out here and get in the argument with you to start the show off, are you?
Oh, Blake, we argue all the time. I'm not worried about it, but
all right.
But that was
what do you mean the mess that Garrett got us out of? You mean the mess that he got himself in?
What mess did he get us in? That's where I'm trying to go with this. I mean, did he have a really bad turnover early in this game? Yeah, he shouldn't have ever thrown that football. But Blake, I really have never seen this in my life. The middle of any LSU offensive line get brutally beaten down like the middle of LSU's offensive line did this past weekend. I've never seen it. In all my years of doing film study, I mean, I thought I would never see anything worse than A&M in 2020. But Blake, it was every play. We could not run the football at all. And Garrett Nussmeier, it's honestly ridiculous that we were even able to be in that game, right? You take a look at every team that played this past weekend that won. LSU had the biggest discrepancy negatively when it comes to success rate, right? Which means on a down-to-down basis, we were in one of the worst situations you could possibly be in to actually win the game. In fact, it was one of the biggest success rate discrepancies we've ever seen. And it's not just the run game that was the issue. Obviously, defensively, there were some problems mixed in there as well.
Are you kidding me?
What? I mean, they made a few mistakes, but the defense won the game for LSU in the second.
Oh, okay. I thought you.
No. My point is, Garrett Nussmeier, I think the stat line is very deceiving. Did he throw some interceptions? Yes. Did I point out in the middle of the game with the film study that he should run when the seas part like Joe Burrow did last night versus the Giants, especially versus two-man under? Absolutely. But Blake, I have never seen a quarterback in that type of situation where he had absolutely positively zero run game. Never in my life have I seen an LSU rushing attack get exploded. And look, was Joe Sloan's run schemes the absolute best? Not really. I thought his run sequencing could have been better. But Joe Sloan ran the running plays that had worked versus Ole Miss's front versus Kentucky. Like he ran outside zone. That had been some of what Kentucky was able to do versus Ole Miss's front. Blake, every single rush play, I highly recommend anyone go do this. There was Walter Nolan or J.J. Pegues in the backfield. You couldn't do anything with it. And I understand you were saying, hey, keep running the football. I think actually what won LSU the game was abandoning the run. You could not run. They could not run for anything more than
in the second half. In the second half, they had 4.5 yards per carry.
Right, and that was because
so your whole analogy about the statistics behind the success rate is bullshit. When you can come out and say that we have a stat where they ran for 4.5 yards per carry, they weren't great. But saying they were getting blown up and then not getting 4.5 yards per carry does not stop that you had that statistic. Is it good? No. Is it bad? Yes. But you can't abandon it when you're throwing the ball on first down. And here's another thing. Carter, you're having multiple 3-and-outs and bad drives because he's throwing the ball on first and second down. You have a quarterback that's
you can't run on first. There was no rushing lanes on first. Now, they tried every different type of run. There was no way you could
Carter,
run the
very first play of the scrimmage, you had Josh Williams get 7 yards on a run play.
You're talking about the very first play of the game, right?
Yeah, the very first play of the game.
So what happened
at the end of the game?
All the other runs? What happened on all the other runs?
On the 3rd and 10, when Aaron Anderson scored the play right before is a run by Josh Williams for 6 yards or 5 yards, whatever it was, to get you in that situation.
Yes,
Don't tell me in the second half that you can't run the football when I have clear evidence of them running for 4.5 yards per carry in the second half. So I get what you're saying.
One of those runs was a scramble, and then the run on the third down run before the
We're going to negate him not running the football. They dropped back 3 times in that series. You can't say that the running game in that series was successful because they didn't run the football. Carter, of the 21 plays in the third quarter, they threw it 19 times. They dropped back 19 times. So you can say that, well, with the third quarter, they're not running the football.
Blake, the run was not working. It was not working in the first and second quarter outside of that one.
You're outside your box. And
Blake, the runs that worked in the first half, okay, the Josh Williams run was a really good run to start the game. Then the second run that worked was a draw, right? Which is more so the play design. It's not just a downhill rushing attack, right? Blake, that was horrible run blocking. I don't know how you watch that game and you weren't appalled by that, right?
No, I'm not. I literally just said it was bad.
Yes.
I'm admitting that it was bad. But at the same time, you got to continue doing it. You are going to have to try to continue. You can't just drop back the way that you're doing. You can't give Garrett success. Carter, it's the same issue that he had. Either you're throwing it on 1st and 10 for an incompletion, or you're going to run it and you're not going to get anywhere. You got to continue to make sure that they are going to be consistent, that they got to come up and at least make sure that the run is something viable that you're going to do.
Yeah,
statistics mean nothing. Being obliterated means nothing. You can't line up and run 21 plays in the third quarter, okay, and throw for 95% of that.
Blake, he had to.
Okay.
It was not working. No, it was not. It objectively was not. Blake, no one could block Walter Nolan. Will couldn't. Nobody could. He was blowing the play.
I'm not disagreeing with you there. But there's also evidence that you have Josh Williams getting multiple carries for over 5 yards in the second half, though, Carter.
And the one run for over 5 yards in the third quarter was when he truck sticked a safety in the box 1 yard after the run, and he fell forward for an extra 6. Was that a successful play? Yes, but it took him doing something absolutely ridiculous for that to work.
That's not on the O-line if a safety's down in the box.
Yes. So that's the thing. The run game is not working, which goes back to Garrett Nussmeier. Okay. I cannot state this enough. That was a ridiculously crazy performance. First off, he acknowledged that he did not play well, which I agree with. There's a lot in his game that needs work, right? The go ball accuracy has been a problem with him throughout his career. The turnovers has been a problem. But Blake, the clutch throws, you can't say enough of how big he was in that half. One of the clutchest second halves I can remember from
Carter,
any LSU quarterback.
You cannot say that when he's 4 of 17 in the third quarter. You just can't.
Because there was no other options, Blake. There was nothing else he could do. We're only talking about the run game. We also got to talk about the pass game where, once again, guys were being blown back into his lap on almost
Take the sack. Don't throw the ball into triple coverage and get it picked.
I'm with you. Take the sack. But at some point, you gotta throw to guys open. You gotta extend plays. He extended plays.
Move your feet.
He did. And he should have taken more sacks. I'm just saying, Blake, you're a former middle of the offensive line. You know this position better than anyone. Let me ask you this. Was the middle of the LSU offensive line getting blown back into Garrett Nussmeier's lap consistently throughout the night? Yes or no question. What was it?
Were there moments? Yeah, there was.
Oh, it wasn't moments. It was all game. I'm serious. It was all game. I wish I wasn't the case. It was all game long. And you tell me, what is harder for a quarterback to deal with than a bull rush going directly?
Carter, it is he's not supposed to be on one central platform. I understand what you're saying.
Yes.
And it doesn't excuse anything that y'all have been telling me over the last couple of weeks that he has been flawless in situations. Carter, yes, did DJ Chester have a very bad game? If you want me to say it, yeah, he got his ass kicked. That's the bottom line. He got his ass kicked.
Because he was going up against the NFL guys.
Okay, that's fine with that. Fine. But he's also not in a position to sack him. DJ is still in front of him most of the game. Is he getting blown up? Yes. Is he still in front of him? Yes. But there's clean enough pockets to get the football off. Carter, that's why he threw the ball 51 times and he got hit twice. 53 dropbacks, and he got hit twice. So you can say that they got blown up. I'm with you. I understand it. It doesn't change the bad decision making. It doesn't change that he got scared, okay, and then threw the ball to Xavion Thomas instead of being up, step in the pocket, take the hit. That is a touchdown that's off the board. You can say whatever you want, but if you're not going to step up in the pocket and throw it to the wide open guy, which, by the way, I know for an outright fact, they came to that exact same play per sourcing on the opposite side to get Aaron open. And this time he hits him because he knows in its growth that he's got to hit it there. I agree. They were not perfect, but you cannot look at multiple. Carter, Josh Williams had 40 yards, correct? So okay, is the running game bad? Yes. You're acting as if that they didn't get yards at all. That's just not number one. Statistically, you can look at any box score and say that that's simply not true.
So how are the yards gained?
Hold on. I heard you out.
Okay.
So you have that in there to say they were getting nothing. I don't agree with that. You got to make sure that those safeties come up for something like they did in the Josh Williams run when he ran the dude over, Carter.
Yes. So this is my point is all right. Remember a few games ago, Brian Kelly said, hey, there weren't run looks being given to LSU. So we threw the ball. It was a Nichols game, right? So Ole Miss, to me, was giving LSU a lot of favorable looks when it comes to running the ball, and LSU could not run the ball. And
I agree.
But that's my point. Is the rushing yards that LSU gained were on clear passing downs, and it wasn't.
Carter, they didn't run the football on third downs. They didn't. They ran once on third down when Josh Williams got 5 yards. So don't tell me they ran on clear rushing downs. They ran it one time on third down.
No, they didn't, Blake. They ran on third before the Josh Williams fourth down stop.
Okay, 2 times in 70 plays. 2 times they ran on third down.
Yes, but Blake, would you consider? And look, Ole Miss has a really good front. They really, really, really do. That's probably the best defensive line. And I'm still bullish on LSU's offensive line moving forward, right? I think they'll have hopefully a better game this past weekend or this next weekend versus Arkansas. I'm just saying that Garrett Nussmeier's bad performance per his standards, right, had a lot to do with so much being put on his plate, okay? You brought up LSU struggling on third downs, correct? LSU
I haven't gotten that with you yet. I still haven't gotten in the Garrett Nussmeier conversation.
Right. Okay. So this is what I would ask anybody. All right. LSU on third downs had to convert on average a 3rd and 8.6. All right. So if you as a quarterback have to convert 3rd and 8.6 on average, you're going to have lower completion percentage.
Okay.
You're going
Stop.
to.
Did they throw the balls on 1st and 2nd down? Yes or no?
They threw it some because they had to.
Carter, that's BS. It's more than some. Buddy, it's more than some. You can't have 50. Carter, you had more dropbacks than 2/3. You dropped back over 70% of the plays that you called. Statistically, if we're going to go statistics, you have to be throwing the ball on 1st down.
Yes.
So some of those decisions that Greg was constantly pointing out about getting Mason Taylor the football early in the game, Carter, he is open. They're running stick routes with Mason, and he's open. So do not tell me that him throwing the ball down the football field to Kyron Lacey on multiple attempts when you got a stick route that they are gifting you. They are gifting him. Go look. You even brought it up. They are on your film breakdown. They're gifting it to him. So I understand what you're saying, but don't say that the 3rd and 8 is on everything not Garrett Nussmeier when you're given a stick route that's wide open, Carter.
Okay. My point still remains the same. Whether it's on Garrett Nussmeier, whether it's on the offensive line or the rushing game, the play caller, the fact that a quarterback was able to beat a top 10 team, okay, on a 3rd and 8.6 average, and that does not include 2 4th and 6 and longers to win the game for you. is absolutely absurd for a first-year starter. It's unbelievable. And it's to the point now where Garrett Nussmeier, you can make a case as the best quarterback in the SEC. All right.
Are you really telling me, and you're coming out here after that game saying what you just said?
Which quarterback in the SEC outside of Jalen Milroe would you say has been better this year than him?
Carter, he's played 2 SEC opponents.
No, I'm just asking which SEC quarterback has been better
at this exact moment?
Yeah.
Even with the Bama game, Beck has been better than him in the opponents that he's played.
Okay, multiple year starter. All right.
Okay, fair. But I hate the argument of you coming in here and says, give me the guy in the SEC that's played better than him, Jackson Dart. Okay. So I look at this and say,
I don't know if Dart was better than him on Saturday night.
He's got a better completion percentage. He's got less turnovers, and he ran the football on crucial downs that led him to a field goal that his defense couldn't get a stop to win a football game.
Yeah. And
okay. So again, so you mean to tell me that some of the passes that we know when we watch that game that he missed, Carter, you cannot tell me that he did not miss passes. That is incredulous.
No, I never said that he didn't.
Okay. So I understand that they're putting a lot on his plate, right? They put a lot on his plate to win that football game, no doubt. There were some absolutely elite throws that he made. Elite.
Yeah.
Can't take away from him.
Right.
But you cannot tell me that a guy that just completed 43% of his passes, and we know for a fact missed multiple stuff throughout the game. Carter, I'm sorry, man. Is he growing? Yeah. Yes.
Okay, so and you were during Jaden's tenure, you did a really good job of pointing out wide receiver drops. Was this not the worst wide receiver drop game of the season this past game?
Very fair, but he had 2. But are we considering Xavier Thomas's catch a drop? Him diving or him having to jump up and then come down with the football like that? That's a drop to you?
Well, I mean, it comes down to how you want to.
Is it a drop to you?
Which one?
The Aaron Anderson play that they overruled. Is that a drop to you? Where he has to go up in the air because it's a bad throw to make a play.
I mean, where else was he going to put it on him? I mean, you have to throw it away from him.
I'm asking you if it's a drop. You're talking about the drops. Name the others. He had one in the opening drive, I'll give you. Okay, but Xavier
and then Aaron in the first Aaron Anderson on the dig that hit him in the hands and and then obviously there was a lot of different drops that happened that were on 50-50 balls that could have been caught. All right. I'm just totally different on this Garrett Nussmeier thing because I know how hard the quarterback position is. I know how much is on his plate. This was just like, in many ways, the South Carolina game. A lot was on his plate. And is it the prettiest? No. But for him to go out and win the games the way that he's had to win them is nothing short of incredible to me, Blake.
If you're correct, you're not, in my humble opinion, you're not. But even if you're correct, okay, then you're going to come out here and defend 2 turnovers?
The first one was bad, and the second one was really bad. I'll give you that.
That loses you football games. So even if everything that you just said is correct, that loses you football games. And here's the problem. The problem is there is no growth. Carter, that's the same shit we saw against Southern 3 years ago. I get that he's a first-time starter, but
that's not the same. Those are completely different turnovers. And on top of that,
the ball into triple coverage on back-to-back SEC opponents that ultimately could have, if your defense does not step up, lost you a football game.
Right, but you're acting like the defense played in both of those games just absolutely flawless, and that the throws that he made were not of extremely high difficulty, right? These throws,
I don't care what difficulty level it is. You don't throw into triple coverage. Sorry.
No, but we always talk about this, right?
If they're tripling covering somebody, that means somebody's open. And that's just the numbers don't lie. If he's Charter, I know that we see Kyron Lacey and we see 3 bodies around him in the pick. Amos, and then you have 2 safeties that's literally sitting right behind Kyron Lacey, correct?
Yeah, he should have tucked in.
So hold on right there.
Okay.
Based off of those numbers alone, with 5 guys in the route, somebody at the receiver court is wide ass open, correct or no?
Yeah, well,
It doesn't matter what the route is. Somebody's got to be wide ass open. Yes or no?
I mean, it's not a given if somebody else is going to be open. For me on that play, he should have. They ran all verts right into. I think if I remember this play correctly, they ran all verts into quarters, right, or guys that were back. So what he should have done is roll.
He should have checked the ball down.
Right, or he should have rolled out to the left and played scramble drill and allowed those guys to come back to you. That was a bad throw. I'll give you that. And he did miss Kyron on the go on the first play of the final drive. But Blake, I mean, with very little, we can all agree that it was very little running game to go off of, and almost, I would say, probably half the snaps, the offensive line being in your lap, it was difficult. Now,
I'm flabbergasted. I'm utterly flabbergasted.
Are
you throw the ball into triple coverage and there not be somebody wide open? It's impossible. It is verge. You know who's wide open? I mean, I know you know who's wide open. Aaron Anderson's wide open for a touchdown. If he sells it a little bit behind the linebacker that dropped, it's a touchdown.
All right, but are we really going to put the entire game just on one error? That
you mean like we did on Jaden Daniels?
Oh, I'm not talking about Jaden. I'm just talking.
I'm just saying. I mean, like if we're going to compare, I mean, like we did with Jaden. Jaden missed wide open dudes in 2022 all the live long day. Did he not?
I mean, I was very pro Jaden, as you know. But
correct, you were. You're very pro Jaden.
Yes,
but the thing that Jaden did is when he thought that something wasn't there, he'd take off.
Right. Let's also be fair here, okay? As your first year starting quarterback, and no CJ Daniels, no Chris Hilton, and the wide receiver room really banged up towards the end of that game where, a walk-on played a snap, a guy who's not ever caught a pass played a snap. The fact that he was able to find a way to get it done, and then on the very first play of overtime, win the game for you on a really good back shoulder throw, it's really good. Okay, it's really, really, really good stuff with a mixture of some drop issues, some protection issues. That's why it was SEC Offensive Player of the Week. That's why it was Reese's Senior Bowl Offensive Player of the Week.
He has no business being the Reese's Player of the Week. He has no business.
I don't know if I would have given him Offensive Player of the Week. I probably would have given it to Genty or Gabriel. I'm sure there's someone else, but
yeah, all right, Dylan Gabriel went off.
Yeah, I probably would have given it to him.
Yeah.
And he's a senior.
You could have given it to Will Howard. You could have given it to anybody.
But
all right.
But to the other side of the ball,
that's where I was trying to go.
I do want to point something out. All right. And this obviously helped out Garrett Nussmeier as well. One of the biggest differences I felt in the second half of the game, like rewatching it, was one thing that really helped Garrett was Pete Golding called an awful half. I was really shocked at some of the things that he did. And Blake Baker did a lot of really good things on that side of the football. And honestly, that was, to me, the big difference, right? I thought Pete was just way too static and made things easier on Garrett. He still has to go out there and make those difficult throws. And I think Blake Baker made things very difficult for Ole Miss in the second half, switching some things up. Obviously, it helps having Braden Swinson. It helps having your off-ball linebackers play as well as they did. And obviously, your guy, Southeastern, Zy Alexander, was just sensational. And look, Major Burns played the best game of his career. I know he gave up the touchdown to Trey Harris, but I know, and I also know that they had the benefit of Trey Harris, leaving the game in the third quarter. But damn it, I was really proud of the grit of the LSU defense. And Blake, I know you're a team first guy. Parisian switching positions, being unfreaking believable, shouting out other people on Twitter. That's not himself. He's shouting out Braden Swinson and the season that he's had. That was a really gritty, legendary change of pace second half that I'll never forget. And Blake Baker, lived up to the bill.
Look, man, I think it's the only way you win the football game. Be real with you. The only way.
Oh, yeah. I mean, their offense was clicking in the first half. I mean, they left a lot of points on the board, and I give Blake a lot of credit. And honestly, and Brian Kelly said this in the press conference today, and this was the only quote. I don't really tweet Brian Kelly quotes from press conferences anymore, but the thing that stuck with me was just doing the fundamentals. Just do, and that's why you lost the Ole Miss game last year. You just missed the absolute most simple tackles, and honestly, that was the difference. LSU made the touchdown-saving tackles after the long Ulysses Bentley touchdown run where we got out of our gaps and Jordan Gilbert had the chance to make the play. Man, there was a huge Jordan Gilbert tackle.
On third down?
Yes, that forced them to, if he doesn't make that tackle, they're probably going for it on fourth, and it might end the game. Those things won you the game, the tackling, right? Ole Miss does a lot of things to make you have to tackle in space. And just those simple tackles. If you go back and watch what happened in the fourth quarter last year, and you compare to what the defense did in the fourth quarter this year, it really was them just making the tackles that were in front of them. So those things won them the game. I'm with you on that.
They're 24th in the country last 3 weeks in points allowed with 17. Carter, if I would have told anybody that you jump up 70 spots, I mean, look, man, regardless if it's play calling offensively, what we think on us or running game, whatever, okay, we're not playing complimentary football, regardless, like at all. You have five straight stops. Does your defense in the first part or first half of the game? They looked amazing. You can't get anything generated or any points. They got multiple turnovers that you can't get anything off of. Like they get the fumble, Carter, and I'm going to be real with you. The 3 plays that Garrett had when we got the fumble inside the 25, I thought was horrible. He had multiple checks downs to at least to go through them on one of them that could have given you yardage. I think that regardless of what we want to have our opinion on, when I look at, okay, this defense and what they've done, man, they're going to keep you in football games. That's just how I think they're playing better in the secondary. I don't know how you see it. I mean, like Major Burns, Carter, what is he supposed to do on Trey Harris?
Yeah, no, I didn't mind that. Yeah. That was a good throw too.
Yeah, it was a really good throw. What's he supposed to do? I mean, I'm glad he's there. You're making plays. They're going to score on you. They have playmakers. I don't – like,
I'm with you.
Carter, if I would have told you going into the game that Ole Miss would have only scored 2 touchdowns, you would have said, what quarter did Jackson Dirk get hurt in, the third or the fourth? Right?
Yeah,
and that's just the truth. I get it's bend, don't break. They got a lot of field goals. But, Carter, another thing too, man, 6 points in the second half. I mean, that is incredible. And, by the way, they played over 80 plays. They played 84 plays.
Yeah.
It's insane, man.
It was ridiculous. I mean, I think, we talked about Shand, obviously with Weeks playing one of the best linebacker games. You'll see it really was that great. And look, this defense just keeps getting better and better. Like you said, I mean, that was definitely one of the better turnaround halves. There were times where they got beat deep and there were some weird defensive reps mixed in there, but man, they got it done. I mean, that's all there is to it versus one of the best offenses in the SEC this year. And, I also would say if any Ole Miss fans are watching, I had a lot tune in to my stuff. I know you did as well, not only here, but on your Daily Own show, Joe and Blake show. They should be kicking themselves how badly they choked this game away in the second half. And look, obviously the Trey Harris injury helped out, but dear Lord, knowing how much they invested into the defensive line and that investment work out for you, and you still lose these 2 games that you lost to, especially knowing what Kentucky's done. I mean, they just burned the season. Let me ask you this: do you think they can win out and get in?
No, I don't.
Yeah, I don't either. I don't think you can rebound after what happened. And also, Blake,
how strong is that locker room? How strong is that culture? How heated does it? Well, how heated does it become when Billy Napier gets fired in a couple weeks? How much heated does that conversation become about Lane Kiffin potentially going to Florida? No, I don't.
Yeah, and one other thing that's very important is I was very excited to see nobody leave that game. Everybody that's watching this that went to the game, you played a huge factor in it. You know, the penalties to start the overtime period basically sealed things. And that was because of the crowd noise and how loud and how raucous it was. And Blake, this Todd Pollitt stat is just crazy. The second longest LSU football game ever. In terms
of 5 hours, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was 4 hours, and I don't remember the exact number.
Dude,
that is a long.
They did a running clock. Think about this. They initiated a running clock, a 2-minute warning, okay, into the game, and we have longer football games now.
It's insane.
It's absolutely insane.
It's insane.
Let me ask you before you get out of here. I think LSU's in a tough spot going into Arkansas. What do you think?
Yeah, I think you have to look at this way, okay? It's going to be so hard to win both of these games versus Arkansas and A&M, right? I think if you're an LSU fan, you just, hopefully you split these games. Well, hopefully you win both. But if you split these games, you can go 4-0 the rest of the way with 3 home games, and you're in the playoff. And this is what I would say. Obviously, on paper, you can make a strong case that LSU is better than Arkansas, is better than A&M. Blake, you watch those teams. It's close, right? It's Arkansas's got good players.
If Arkansas doesn't turn the football over, they're a really good football team.
Yeah, and their offensive play calling has been really good this year with Petrino. And then obviously A&M is going to be tough. It's just so hard to play well in the 12th man. And we still don't know the kickoff time for that game.
I hope it. You know what they're going to do?
What's that?
If this is all based on if LSU wins at Arkansas or not.
Yeah.
Because if LSU beats Arkansas, they're putting that game in primetime ABC at 6:00.
As they should. And game day might be there for that one. Especially if A&M is still what they are. Do they have a bye
I was
week?
talking about A&M last week. Do you have their schedule handy?
Yeah, so so
say they got Mississippi State, LSU.
Yeah.
Correct?
Yeah.
Who's after that?
At South Carolina.
Okay, that's a tough one, but they can win it.
And then New Mexico State, at Auburn, and Texas to close the year.
Carter, there's a real path. There's a legitimate path that we're in a situation where Texas and Texas A&M can play the last game of the season and then turn right around and fly to Atlanta.
Yeah, it's real. And honestly, Blake, I really hope A&M, not because, I'm not a fan of theirs, but I kind of hope that they lose at least one more game. Obviously against us, that would be perfect. But I want that Texas game to be a de facto playoff game because that would make that rivalry. That would be the perfect first year of the rivalry, Texas being the determining factor if A&M gets in or not. I would love it. But, Blake, this is my philosophy on it. I meditated about this a little bit earlier. If you split these games, all right, obviously it's going to be raucous road environments. In order to get into the playoff, you got to go 4-0 the rest of the way. That's the sign you're a playoff team, right? Because if they were to go 4-0, that means that they're not backing into the playoff. And I would actually prefer that, right? I would prefer us lose one of these 2 games compared to losing one of the last 4, because that means if you go 4-0 the rest of the way, you're playing damn good football going into the playoff, if that makes sense. So I wouldn't be discouraged if LSU isn't able to go 2-0 in these games. Slight favorite versus Arkansas, probably be slight underdog versus A&M. 2 coin flip games. As long as you don't go 0-2, I'm not going to be pissed, if that makes sense.
If LSU loses to Arkansas, they're not losing to A&M.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think they would lose 2 in a row. I think you're going to get one elite LSU game, and that's something else. You can look at like success rate and all those things and say, well, LSU hadn't played, a complete 4-quarter game versus an SEC team. Well, they haven't yet. There really hadn't been many SEC teams that have had complete 4-quarter games outside of maybe Texas. And a lot of that has been opponent base, right? Oklahoma offensively sucks. That basically ended the game for them. Mississippi State, that was the first start for Van Buren. So Texas really hadn't been challenged, right? There's really not one single SEC team that you could say just went out 4-quarter domination over somebody you would consider to be good. Am I fair? Is that fair?
Yeah,
Or
but did we ever really get that?
yeah, you get that some of the time.
I mean, because Vandy's bad. I mean, I agree with what you're saying.
Yeah,
to some extent,
and that's it. I think one of these two games you're going to get a complete 4-quarter, like 31-17 LSU victory. I think it's coming. I think it's coming with the way the defense is coming along. I think you'll see that, and I think you'll see a big Caden Durham game in one of these two games.
Maybe if he goes back home, I don't know. All right, Carter Bryant, thank you so much. I love that we can debate and still be really good friends.
Oh no, I hate your guts. I mean, it's just I
if you
hate
look at social media all day, people don't like my opinion on a certain matter. So
there you go. All right, buddy. We'll see you.
Cheers. All right, that's Carter the Power Bryant. Very spirited debate. I guess me and you will preview Arkansas tomorrow. Ty Richardson joined us. We'll see y'all then. Y'all have a good one. Peace.